hopefully we are alive.
All right. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Hopefully we're alive and not in some kind of
Yes.
messed up limbo when we don't, like some kind of sixth sense situation.
I see live, people.
Yeah.
All right. So as I was saying, I was telling you about a photo that someone sent me, and it's a photo of Ben Shapiro and Joe Rogan together. And Ben Shapiro's on the left and Joe Rogan's on the right, and it says left to right, a before-after picture for a workout regimen, and right to left, a before-after picture for a cure of yeshiva, outreach yeshiva.
Right, you go from the guy in shape into a kind of slightly out of shape yeshiva buffer, right?
Yes. So what I wanted to ask you was, did you ever find yourself being in that situation, like in yeshiva, and then kind of just, not really caring?
So I saw that happening to myself, and this was in my notes, and so it didn't actually happen. I saw it happening to myself, and then I kind of took it the other way.
Yeah.
And I went, like, I used to just go running. I didn't know anything about working out or fitness routines or anything like that. I just started to go running so that I wouldn't balloon like some of the guys seem to.
Balloon! I thought, like, in my case, I got like lost weight. No, got like just
There's two ways.
Lost muscle.
Yeah, I mean, some guys they guys who have some trouble gaining mass, they maybe they tend to lose it. They're not eating enough, or they're not eating good enough. The stuff they're eating isn't good, and then some guys like me, it goes the other way. I mean, you're not gaining good mass; you're gaining bad mass.
Yeah.
So you see that happening. You see guys neglecting their health, and that goes against the Torah. So it seems that that when you read the Torah and you read, well, the Rambam is a great example. Things that he recommends. He recommends breathing exercises, wrestling, weapons. To him, it was very, very important. He really, he actively recommended this kind of stuff, but that's not going to be promoted. Or I haven't been to yeshiva in 20 years, but I don't know if things have changed. But that's generally not promoted, like taking care of your health. Yeah. It could be just where we're holding.
Is it just a gullus thing? I mean, because I feel like we're coming up on Hanukkah, and it's like.
I think that they're just kind of like, we're not training, people, to be healthy. We're just trying to. We're not trying to make the best possible person. Yeah. We're just trying to make a bunch of religious guys that keep Torah and mitzvahs, and that's all we can really do. It feels like they don't feel like they have the energy to try to be more ambitious in terms of what kind of person they're trying to produce. Yeah. Also, there's the nonsensical notion that if a person gets, I think that if a person gets into like a fitness routine, then they're going to get too into their bodily things. Like if they they'll get into shape. Getting into shape leads to like you're going to go to the gym and then you're going to interact. There's a certain thing that happens. They have a point. Like you go to the gym and you start working out, you get more aggressive. You get stronger, and that kind of leads to certain decisions, right? Like you want to go. You have more confidence. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. So then, with that confidence, what are you going to go do with that confidence? Right. You're probably going to go try to pick up girls or something like that, right? So they're worried it's going to be a distraction. So they'd rather have a person deteriorate than have them possibly focus on something that isn't spiritually good. Which I'm not saying it is spiritually good to go do what they're worried about, but it's also spiritually bad to let a person deteriorate physically, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
Also,
I feel like they're just trying to not in their attempt or quest to not emulate the Greeks. we've gone basically overboard in that respect. I feel like.
Right, but you've made yourself so weak and docile.
I know.
That you can't you can't stand up to the Greeks, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, they overall their entire view is that whatever happens to us, Hashem wants it to happen. Meaning, like, it doesn't matter if we get flabby and weak, and we can't defend ourselves at all.
Yeah.
If we get hurt, that must be that it was meant to happen anyway. Because otherwise, Hashem wouldn't let it happen.
So what is
doesn't
this?
matter.
It's like being idle and just like I don't understand.
I don't understand it either.
It's almost like a total abdication of what is it called? Free will. I mean, assuming we have free will, which that's in and of itself
the thing
discussion.
Is, what did you say?
No, it's a big discussion in and of itself if we even have free will, but that's a different story.
Well, just standing on one foot, the Torah, according to the Torah, free will is being given. In order to have free will, you have to be given commandments. So all humanity has free will. But non-Jews have 7 commandments, and we have 613 commandments. Actually, non-Jews have way more than 7 commandments. Like those are just like primary categories. But there's many commandments that many laws that fall into each one. But the point is that the human race was given commandments and given the choice to fulfill them or not.
Yeah.
But when you boil it down even further, free will is really just an internal decision that you make based on a situation that you're flung into. So whatever situation you find yourself in, that is not really determined by you.
Yeah.
Your choice stands as to how to react to it emotionally.
Yeah.
So if something is very bad that's happening or very painful, what I mean by bad, I mean painful.
Yeah.
Okay. So if something is very painful is happening, so how you choose to react to that, that's where free will lies. It's very, very, very. It's a very narrow field. There's not. Free will is not what most people think it is. It's not choosing Coke or Pepsi, going left or right. All that is predetermined.
Yeah.
Okay, so free will is how you choose to react to the situation that you are involuntarily flung into. That's basically what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And that's what God wants to see, apparently. That's the most important thing to him.
So these guys, or what happens with these guys in yeshiva? I mean, listen, you see it. You go to like a place like Mea Shearim, you see it like on full display.
I think that
I hate to put it this way, but I hope nobody gets offended by this. But as much as that community, everything they do is centered around countering what happened in the Holocaust. When I'm in the mikveh and I see some of these guys, and I'm just like, some of these guys look like those pictures.
I mean, the skinny dudes.
Yeah, but they're like, it's abnormal. It's abnormal.
I think the skinny dudes are way better off than the fat dudes.
For sure.
Like there's no comparison. Like the skinny guy, it's much easier for him to recover, and to feel, than it is for a person who is very overweight to come back from that. Yeah. Much, it's worlds apart.
Of course.
And so the main problem isn't the skinny guys; it's the fat dudes.
Yeah.
Or what they're not. There's a couple of things that they're not taking into consideration in terms of whoever's in charge of the development of these bachrim.
Yeah.
They're not creating attractive men for the women.
Yeah.
Isn't that a problem?
Yeah,
right.
It is.
So basically, they're counting on women just kind of marrying a Jewish guy out of obligation.
Yeah, and I see some of them, and I see how, like, I feel bad. I see how sad they are. Really, like, you can walk through that neighborhood and just see like sadness.
Right. So it seems like I've spent many years obsessing or thinking about this issue, as I'm sure many other guys have, and and you're trying to wonder, you're trying to get into the head of what are they thinking? What are they trying to accomplish? Why is this being emphasized and that is being de-emphasized?
Mm-hmm.
So it's very difficult to get, to really understand. But this is what I've come down to.
Mm-hmm.
We're basically in such a deep gullis that it's not worth exerting the energy or the effort to address some of these real problems. We just have to kind of skate through this and just kind of hold on for dear life, and that's it. You understand? Like nobody's even trying to create a better situation. Yeah. They're just trying to hold on. They're scared of losing what they are holding on to now.
Yeah.
Okay? So every community is a little bit different in how they deal with that. Okay? And so basically, we're talking about like Ashkenazi Haredi.
Yeah.
And so it would seem to me, of course I could be wrong, I'm just a guy. It would seem to me that the approach that they've taken is we got to avoid any type of activity that resembles the activity of those who are not
connected
trying to have a relationship with God. And even if to our own detriment, even if we get sick, even if we're ugly, even if we're fat, even if we die early, even if we leave 9 kids fatherless because the guy was too fat and had a heart attack at 42.
That's crazy.
Or he got sick.
Can I tell you how many of these emails I get from these HESA organizations? I don't even know how to get my email. This list, whatever. Please, this family lost. The father passed away, 35 years old. This family just lost, over every day. Help these 8 children. Help these 9 children. Help these 12 children. Help these 7 children. And I'm looking at it. Dude, I'm 40 years old, man. Am I Chas v'shalom in danger? You know what I'm saying?
What do you mean? Explain that.
What?
I don't understand what you mean.
What do you mean?
No, you said I'm 40 years old. Am I Chas v'shalom in danger?
No, because I see these guys. They're 35 and 37 and 38. I mean, granted, there might be a condition, or like you said, there might be obesity or whatever it is. But it's
I wouldn't expect that the guys we're talking about to be in the picture of health before it happened. So the culture is probably the issue. It's the culture that developed after thousands of years of just being, not treated well by external forces and by internal forces. Okay, so it's very bad, and that's another big reason why we need Mashiach, because the religious community, the community that preserves the knowledge of Torah and Mitzvot, is not faring well. They are not looking good. Yeah. They are not feeling good. Yeah. They are simply not doing well. Okay, and isn't that a huge Hillel Hashem against God's name? Right. These are the people who are representing Torah and Hashem.
It's not only a Hillel Hashem. It's a thing that it actually not detracts, but it actually disincentivizes those who otherwise would come into the fold, let's say from the secular world. And it's funny, it's not so funny, but people in our community, Russian Jews, the only thing they know of Torah Judaism is what we've just described. So they call it in Russian pesate,
Yeah.
And then they always say, "What am I going to be, pesate?"
It's not an attractive prospect.
It's like what you want me to be that?
Right. It's not. It's a really bad levush.
And then I go and explain to them, well, there's this whole other breed of Jew, but he doesn't live in America. He lives in the hills of Shomron, or this is one example. And he wears blundstones and jeans and tzitzit and tchelet,
Yeah.
Tzitzit, the blue tzitzit, and maybe a t-shirt, maybe a whatever button shirt. But the point is, he's connected as much to Torah as that guy in Buda Park in Williamsburg. But he's not here. He will only be in Israel. He will only be found in Israel.
I used to do that too. You try to find maybe if you don't like these Jews, then there's this other type of Jews. Not everybody's like that. Yeah. It's a futile discussion, futile argument.
It is.
And the only thing that really can be done is that it's literally up to whoever's having these thoughts, like we're having right now, or these discussions or these concerns. That means it's up to us.
Yeah.
So you have to be the example that you want to show to people. Yeah. You can't look around and say, "Oh, these guys should do it," or that guy.
No, I for sure been trying. Well, it's funny because when I first moved back here, the first time in 2014, that's what I was trying, and I literally felt like Amish was the Jewish version of Crocodile Dundee. That's what I became, minus the bidet scene. You know, where he's spraying whatever. He doesn't know what's flying. He doesn't know what's going on. What was the line that he said? He's like, "This one's for how did it go?
Oh, it's for your backside, right?
It's for your backside, right?
Right. He's screaming out the window of the Plaza Hotel.
Yeah. Right. It's absolutely hilarious.
Great movies.
Yeah.
So basically, what it comes down to, anybody who's having this conversation, who's hearing this conversation, who's thinking it, you have to realize it's up to you.
Yeah.
If it's that important to you to present, yourself and what you represent in the best way possible, then you have to be the shining example for everybody else, because it's not there.
Okay? Well, I'll tell you, like, in terms of dating, let's say if I'm here in America, and then I show up, let's say, in front of like, let's say I don't deal with them anymore, but I used to be, like, shotguns or whomever, in the film world, or even like on a date, it's like, well, the shotguns don't know what to do with me.
Yeah.
On top of the fact that I'm a Balchuva, you also add the Israel factor in. Not even in terms of living in Israel, but the whole Israel culture factor. The whole Rav Kook thing, which again doesn't exist because the whole thing is designed for being in the land. It's like, again, I'm trying to install Mac in a PC, and so
right.
now so now go date like that. Good luck.
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's not gonna. I don't think that there's a system.
There is no system.
There's not going to be a system. You just have to. It has to be. Look, people have to stop having relationships with their shotgun and have a relationship with God.
I know. For sure, exactly. I have a friend. He's got this Israeli guy. He's like, he lives out west, in LA, and he's like, yeah, it's a numbers game. You got to shoot. He goes, you got to shoot 1,000 arrows, and one will hit. And I go to him, okay, let me know how that goes for you. He's dealing with shotguns. He's dealing with people who don't know him, and even if they knew him, they wouldn't understand him.
You know what? It seems like, I don't know that much about. Granted, I don't know that much about the shotgun method or whatever that's about. But it kind of seems like, back in the days when people lived in like small rural areas, right, and there weren't that many people in the first place, and people didn't encounter like people they didn't know.
Yeah.
Like the people that you saw were the people in your village. You saw the same people your entire life.
They knew you since you were a baby. That's why I keep trying to tell people, like, shotguns used to be a thing where they knew the guy, they knew the girl, they knew both families or all families.
That's one. Yeah, that is true.
And that's it. Like.
No, but what I wanted to focus on the fact that there's so few people that anybody encountered. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So that formed your expectations.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So anybody different, any girl, possibly from like several villages away that has never been seen, is like, whoa, and then possibly the opposite effect. And you
got Keanu Reeves going on. Whoa.
Yeah, whoa, right? So and the girl, whoa, girl Keanu Reeves, whatever. So that would be amazing and interesting. So my point is that the shotgun's job was much easier.
Of course.
Right? So at that time.
Yeah. But it's like Fiddler on the Roof situation.
Yeah, but nothing changed. Like the circumstances have greatly changed, obviously, but the methods haven't, right? So
that's what's so mind-boggling. And you come and you tell these people, listen, you tell them, you really tell them, like I've told them, I'm like your circumstances have changed, but you guys have not changed your strategy. And then they come and tell me, well, we still make a lot of shidduchim. And I say, out of how many attempts? The success rate is like 1%, maybe. That's a lucky, that's me being generous.
All right, let's stop berating these poor shot.
I'm just saying, it's not a question of berating. It's a question of like Jews are smart, but like we're being very stupid.
We're not smart, dude. I'm sick of hearing that too. I don't understand. Where did this thing we're smart come from? Somebody explain that to me.
I mean, the evidence points to the affirmative.
What, the Nobel Prizes?
Not just Nobel Prizes. We have a disproportionate effect on the world, and we're everywhere.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean we're smart. That just means that God does that.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was telling my friend. But even if God does that, so God gave us that. So why are we not using it? Why are we just
listen? I don't. That's a separate discussion. But like, remember you were telling me about there's a certain gentleman that you know who doesn't seem to have many extraordinary properties.
Yeah.
Right. And
it doesn't seem a ton of money. Yeah. Sure.
Right. And so that's the kind of thing that we're talking about. You can't say smart. You just say that gifted by God. Yeah. That's not smart.
Okay, but even if we're gifted, do something.
I mean, listen. I think people they do what they think they can do. Look, I guess what it comes to. Here's what I always end up when I go through this process. When all these things that we're talking about, I always end up in the same place. God wants it like this for some reason right now.
Yeah.
If he didn't, it would have. He would have created the circumstances where something better, or less painful, or more attractive, however you want to phrase it. Yeah. But it's interesting. I've never gotten a chance to articulate some of these thoughts that I've had, which is it's related to this topic. Okay, we're talking about people getting out of shape, right? But let's talk about, if you're interested, the human form.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We could have talked. We could have talked about this during the perfection episode.
Yeah.
Right. But I wonder, what is it? Like, obviously, there is a physical ideal, obviously, and God made it that way. And obviously, regardless of what anybody says, it's obviously very important to God. Okay, the physical ideal. There is some kind of proportion that is considered the ideal, and if that's the case, then why do so many people are not given the gift of being close to that? Like if you want to say, well, God didn't want to create everybody perfect, to give them a chance to kind of, to do something towards it, to perfect themselves a little bit, so they feel that they earn the gift. But some people are really not given the chance at all. It's very, very lopsided, very unfair.
Yeah, that's true.
And we try to pretend like it's not important.
Yeah.
That's a chronic issue in the Jewish community. But again, one of those things where what do you want them to do? Like, how are they supposed to deal with this? Aside from promoting physical, aside from promoting physical health, like some kind of exercise, some kind of basic.
But do you think listen, I hate to say this. Actually, I don't hate to say this because it's a fact. Do you think it's a product? If you look at, let's say, the frum communities, let's say in America, and also in Israel, but in America it's more visible because you have all this marriage only within the communities, and at some point the genetic pool, I mean, again, I hate to sound like the genetic pools ain't looking good. And then you go to Israel, where they started mixing Sephardi and Ashkenazi, and you just have a country of gorgeous people.
You don't need Sephardi and Ashkenazi. First of all, it doesn't matter. I'm not saying I'm not against it. I'm not for it. I'm not against. No. See, I heard this before, but the reality is, like, even if just hypothetical situation where the Ashkenazim just marry other Ashkenazim, right?
Yeah.
At least marry people from other communities.
Yeah.
It does get inbred because communities want to stay close to, just can't. It's the same problem with the European royals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, that's not gonna, that's gonna
it's
some
like
issues.
It's like this, hierarchy thing or aristocracy thing, even within the frum world, and it's like
there's plenty of purely Ashkenazi Israelis that are there's a lot that are stunningly beautiful.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have. It's not specifically like we have to mix the Yemenites with the Ethiopians with the Polacks. That's not.
Listen, it does help. I mean, it is a thing.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Again, that's not my point. Is that if a Yemenite girl marries a guy from Ukraine, right? I want it to be for spiritual reasons, not because we're trying.
For sure.
You understand what I'm saying? Because physically, it's not necessary.
Yeah.
Even from the genetic aspect, it's not necessary. Do you understand? It's not that hard. You just have to slightly increase the gene pool. And it doesn't mean that you have to mix Eskimos with pygmies from where am I trying to say? From Papua New Guinea.
Papua New Guinea. Yeah.
Sam, that's not.
Even though both groups might be lost tribes, but that's a different discussion.
Not sure about that.
Did you see the Papua New Guinea guys get the video that's saying Shema Israel?
I don't trust everything that I see. Look. Let's say it turns out that the Papua New Guinea guys are in fact lost tribes. That's fine. I'm not against it. Yani protiv, as they say.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are people with agendas.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay? It's not that hard for some missionary to teach them how to say something and then claim that they said it themselves.
Yeah. That's true.
Okay? That kind of stuff happens too, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay? So basically, when it comes to like the kind of choosing partners from a larger gene pool, it doesn't have to be a very diverse gene pool. Just we're talking about larger in terms of numbers. Okay, so if an Ethiopian marries a Moroccan or a Polish Jew, or can't really say that, but just Jews from the European areas, right?
Yeah.
It should be because of a spiritual reason, not because they're trying to better the gene pool. That's a myth that you have that in order to increase or to make the human gene pool more healthy, you have to marry people from as diverse places as possible. That's not true.
Yeah.
And that's political science.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like in the traditional sense. I mean when science is influenced by politics.
Yeah. Oh. We've never seen that happen. We've never seen that happen ever.
Such a thing can't happen.
We've never seen CEOs of pharma companies posting on his Twitter calling people criminals. We've never seen that ever.
It's honestly the whole thing about like
criminals. There's a virologist who invented shmemRNA. Shawarma. He's one of the inventors, not the inventor.
Shawarma.
He is apparently a criminal now.
Yeah.
According to the CEO of Schmeiser. This is in the words of the guy from 300. This is madness.
They're gonna keep pushing, and they're gonna keep pushing until придется расстреливать. I don't know how else to, unless Mashiach comes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Goes back to that. How far are people going to be?
I keep hearing the word Pinochet. That's what I keep hearing. Because when you cannot speak to people anymore, where there's no more negotiations, there's no more discussions, there's no more compromises, there's no more even following of rule of law, and there's no other choice. There's just like, the back's against the wall. The only option is helicopters. Not that we're violent people or anything like that, but what else do you do in situations like that? You know what I'm saying? I'm willing to be surprised. Yeah. I don't want to
I don't want to look at situations. This actually, this might interest you, what I'm about to say. When people try to look at situations and their outcomes, very rarely do they put God into the equation.
Yeah, for sure.
Like we have to figure out how things are going to go.
Yeah.
We got to figure out, look what these guys are doing. We have to figure out precisely how to counter it.
Yeah, but the thing is, the reason they're saying it is that, listen, look at the last tragedy 70 years ago, and it's almost like, yeah, something could have been done by a lot of different people, whether it was a president who could have paid it, let people into the on a boat, whether it was like people in Israel itself who could have let people in.
You're not going to untangle this, man.
What?
You're not going to untangle this.
No, I'm just saying there was a lot of things that were not done.
So we can get into this crazy discussion, but you'll see that a person will start going mad because you won't figure it out.
You're saying that was a sham.
Yeah, so obviously what happened, that was the outcome that God wanted.
Yeah.
So the question is, does that mean nobody should have tried anything? No. So basically, let's say if Roosevelt would have made a decision to say, okay, let them in, right?
Yeah.
So perhaps God would have made it that we wouldn't be able to get in for some other reason, right?
Yeah.
But at least he did the right thing.
Yeah.
Right? The point is, we're still supposed to do the right thing. People are still supposed to make the moral decision. Would it change the outcome? I'm not really sure.
There are tzaddikim in Israel today, Mikubalim, Kabbalists. If you come up to them and you literally prod them and you ask them, basically, however you want to phrase it, how could God do this, or how could God turn away from that?
Such an unfair question.
Yeah, no, I'm saying but they don't. You understand these guys they don't mind unfair questions, and you know what
they should.
What their answer usually is? They literally say this. They say, "I can tell you the reason, but you're not going to like it."
Yeah, exactly. What the reason is?
Yeah, it's like Hillary Clinton says, "Lahavdil." What difference at this point does it make? I can tell you the reason. You really want to know the flipping reason why Hashem did this? There's a rabbi who on YouTube who gives a whole 1 hour shiur explaining, dissecting, and getting to the reason. I don't know if you've seen. I don't know if you've seen this. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
As a side point, they're not. I don't think that they are right.
Okay.
I think that they are delusional if they think that they can actually understand. Either they're delusional if they really believe that they can actually explain it. Okay, that's number one. Or they're just using scare tactics. Like they know that really what they're saying is BS.
No, they're not using scare tactics. They're not saying anything that's.
I think that the rabbi we're talking about is his.
No, it's not Mizrahi. No, it's not him.
It's not just him.
No, do you know who I'm talking about? There's a rabbi gives a shiur. He talks about all the stuff that was going on before in Europe.
No.
And all
okay.
I know
who you're talking about, but that's not. I don't believe that he's giving the reason. Because I've heard that.
It's not a reason. He's just painting you a picture, and he's letting you.
That's not a reason.
And it's not a reason. He's letting you understand context, because a lot of people, you know what I'm saying. A lot of people. I was telling a friend of mine, and we were talking in the context of what's going on now, and I said, there's a woman, a Holocaust survivor. Her name is Vera Sharav. You know the one I'm talking about, right?
I don't.
Okay, she's been talking a lot lately. She's basically the only person who is. She's the only person that has the clout to speak about this issue, to compare it to the Shoah, because she survived the Shoah, right? So if she speaks about it, Vradli, I would say in Russian, people would still get offended, but I would say more people would listen, right? And this is why they banned her. They sent her to BitChute and they sent her to Rumble. So this woman is talking about the parallels between. Back then, what led up to what happened back then.
Oh, okay. I know the lady you're talking about.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
And she spoke to these people, and the lawyers in Germany, these from today, the Austria or Germany.
Yeah.
The panel. She spoke to the panel. Okay, and I feel like people lack a basic Holocaust education. They don't understand. They think everything happened in a vacuum. We just talked about Kristallnacht 2 days ago. They think Kristallnacht happened in a vacuum. They think the camps happened in a vacuum, just like, somebody snapped their finger, okay, camps, 1941.
Okay. So let's back up for a second, okay? Just to reorganize this. Talking about patterns, right? Pattern recognition is completely different than reason. When reason goes into how could God allow such a system? How could God allow these vulnerabilities? How could God take something so precious and put it in such danger, and then just let the danger occur? Those are the questions that are unanswerable. That's when someone says the reason. That's really what they're asking. They're not asking what was it in the system that caused it to happen. Nobody gives a damn. Yeah. That's that question is, what are the patterns as to how to recognize when this is going to happen again? That's a different question. Yeah.
But people are afraid to even entertain to look at the pattern, and they're afraid, or they're deeply offended. It's deep offense on the masking just fear, really.
Right.
So it's easier to just be offended. I'm offended. Right. So whatever the flip that means.
So Rabbi Miller was doing pattern recognition. Okay.
Yeah, this is the rabbi we're talking about, the one that.
Well, Victor Miller. I'm assuming that's what you're speaking.
It wasn't a Victor Miller. It was.
Oh, then I have no idea what
you're talking about. No, it wasn't a Victor Miller. It was. No, he spoke a couple of years ago. Here. Here. This is his name is whatever. I'll find it.
Dude, you're bumming me out big time. Now, I don't want to talk about Billy Idol at all now.
So anyway, so what is...
I wanted to talk about like abs. Like, why does God like abs?
Anyway,
how come he didn't give me abs?
Okay, anyway, let's make, as we say in Brooklyn, on top of Yui. So
yeah, we gotta. So calm down there, Paul Giamatti.
So so you talk.
Don't go to the dark side.
Don't go to the dark side. No Merlot. No Merlot. No Merlot. Oh, here you go. Rabbi Yosef Ben Porat. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. Where was God during the Holocaust? It's a 1.5 hour shiur. English subtitles. Israeli rabbi.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So that is I again, call me a big fan or whatever. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think that the best answer ever given on this topic came from the Lubavitcher Rebbe. He said, "Don't even talk about it. The reasoning is beyond our ability to grasp. We'll never grasp it, and it doesn't even matter."
Yeah. That's what he said. That's what the Rebbe said.
I don't know if that doesn't matter thing. He said everything. He said everything I said before. Yeah. It doesn't even matter. Yeah. The doesn't even matter part, that was mine. Everything before that was.
Do you know that when Eli Wiesel met with the Rebbe, he asked him, Rebbe, how do you still bring yourself, something like along the lines of how is it possible to still believe in God after the Shoah? And the Rebbe answered him, who would you like me to believe in? Man?
Right.
You want me to believe in man?
No, but the answer is no, Rebbe. I don't want you to believe in anybody.
Yeah, that was the answer he gave.
Right. So there's a lot. The Rebbe likes to divert or read. He likes to change the direction of conversation. He likes to, reorient the angle, the perspective.
Yeah. You literally go into your brain and shift your brain inside your head.
Right. So instead of the Rebbe is like, instead of people are saying, well, so what's going to happen? So he'll be like, instead of asking what's going to happen, let's ask, what can we do now? What can we contribute to this situation at this point? Rather than thinking about what's going to happen, sitting around like, oh God, what's going to happen? The better question is, what can we do? Okay, so these are practical. The Rebbe was very practical. Mm-hmm. He's like, okay, yeah, I get what you're saying, but so what are we going to do? He's about doer. He was a doer.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's what he was trying to. That's how he was trying to guide people. But the real answer that he gave was, anybody who gives a reason, the Rebbe is not going to be like, cursed be that. He's not going to make statements like, cursed be the one who tries to give a reason for it or something. He's not going to say that. Yeah. But it feels like he almost nearly was on his way. Yeah. Or, you know what I mean? Like, he wouldn't do that.
Yeah, it's kind of like, he hinted at it.
not even hinted at it, but it looked like it was going there for a second. You know, like you saw that he was upset by the fact that anybody would even think that they can understand how something. You see, the people who even give any answers, who dare to give any answers, they are not familiar with the reality of the horror and the agony. Okay? You have to be so disconnected from the reality of that to even try to say anything. Anyone who's any one of these rabbis giving a speech and trying to give reasons, if they would go and witness what actually happened, they would never say their mouth would never open again. That's my feeling. That's what I think would happen. That they would never.
But
they would never open their mouth again.
That is separate from at least attempting to, especially if you are a Holocaust survivor, to make parallels between what happened from 1931 up until everybody was sent away. So there was that that 9-year span.
Dude, the pattern is a separate question.
Yeah.
The question is why the pattern?
Yeah.
Why this system?
Correct.
What's the point of having something that will allow for this eventuality?
Yeah.
That's the real question.
Yeah.
And the answer is I don't care. Meaning, no, there's an answer. It's just it won't make me feel any better.
Yeah. It won't change anything.
I don't think I ever want to know the answer. You know, you hear like even Rabbi Kessin would say, like, in the future you'll see why it was all necessary, and you'll say thank you.
Yeah.
I've heard this.
Whoop-de-doo.
I kind of, I can only relate to this from who I am now.
No, but here's my question: if we're talking about Chias Mason, and we know that all those people will resurrect, then it will, so to speak, be better, and it will matter to know why they had to go away. Maybe they'll even tell us, because now they know why.
I guess
they for sure know the answer to the question.
I guess
they're in the world.
I guess that's possible. I guess that's possible.
You know what I'm saying?
Right, but some things are so horrible, right? Such agony, right? That I wouldn't even bring it up with the person. The person wants to get away from it.
What we're talking about is the process of how these people went away. We're not talking about it, or rather, what we're forgetting is that at the end of the day, everybody goes to the same place. So the only issue is how these people went. It's kind of like there was a rabbi in my in Rage, and he gave a shiur about, he was like, okay, guys, how many people died in 9/11, right? Like the official account, 3,000 people, right? And he goes, how many people died in the tsunami? The recent, that tsunami a few years ago, 10 years ago, whatever it was. I don't know, 200,000 people, 250,000 people, right? And he goes, I feel like, he goes, which event is more like, which event is the one that like caused, people went to war over it? The one that lost 3,000. Which event do we commemorate? We read the names every year. The one that lost 3,000, not the one, we're not reading 23,000 names. Why? Because of the way people went. It was an attack, in that case it was an attack. It was human on human violence. But you're talking about 250,000 people, it was nature. Hashem causes everything, obviously, but it was, what insurance companies call an act of God, a weather event. And we're not moved, really. I mean, we were moved, but we're not really moved to the point where we have to commemorate this event every year. Maybe people in Indonesia are somehow, some way, but majority of the world every year commemorates, or at least America does, commemorates 9/11 for the past 20 years. So it's something about the way, meaning the Shoah wasn't, obviously the number was very high, obviously. But even if it was 300,000, we'd still have museums, and we'd still have organizations, and
right, the number,
and all that kind of stuff.
I'm slightly confused by the number, rather than the focus on the number rather than on the experience.
Yeah.
So that's really, so look, I'm aware that this is not the end, that this world is not all there is. In fact, it's very, very little of what there actually is. There's a much bigger world not in this world. Okay? And I understand that that's where people go. That's not my issue. Yeah. Like, for instance, do you remember, let's just use Harry Potter, people know that. Yeah. Remember how Sirius Black died?
I honestly, man, I'm like a Harry Potter ignoramus. Totally.
Whatever. So I wasn't sure. So okay, so he stepped into this mirror, right? Mm-hmm. Where if you step into the mirror, that's the world of souls. Yeah. Like that's the world of that's where you can't come back from it. That's like a gateway. So he accidentally stepped in there, and then that's how he went away. He didn't suffer. He just stepped through a door to the next world. Yeah. Now that's sad because that means we're not going to see him for a while. That's really sad because first of all, disconnecting people, loved ones, is that's a horrible thing in its own right. Yeah. But on the other hand, at least we know that we will be reunited. So there is that. You just have to wait a long time. Yeah. It's almost you can almost think of it like if somebody like in the near future, people are going to be flying to other planets, right? Yeah. Like you're going to people are going to get on Elon Musk's rocket, God forbid. But let's say that happens, right? Yeah. He's going to become the most creative serial killer in history. That's Norm Macdonald. Okay, but going back. So people get on his rocket, and they get to Mars, right? It's likely that their families won't see them for a number of decades, or possibly ever again. They're on a different planet, right? Until they can get there, right? It's a lengthy separation, but there's going to be a reunion. Yeah. So, okay, that's painful, but that's you can deal with that, right? If you know that the person you love is somewhere and they're safe and they're not in agony, they're not in pain, right? Yeah. So I'm talking about the experience of how people die. Yeah. Okay, that's my major malfunction, as they say.
In a Full Metal Jacket. Speaking of which, can you give me literally 10 seconds?
Yeah.
I just have to let in a living creature into the house. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, let him in.
Yeah, hopefully he won't make too much noise. Go on.
Can I make a closing statement on this topic?
Yes, and then we'll move to Mr. Eyes Without a Face. Speaking of which,
or something related. There's a couple of pre-things that we have to talk about. Yeah. Pre-thing. Listen to me. I'm getting zapped. I'm starting to sound like a pre-things. Right.
Preliminary things.
Yeah. I just created that word. Some pre-thing. I'm an idiot. Anyway, so basically, the reason why God either does or allows this kind of stuff to happen, mm-hmm. this absolutely indescribable madness, mm-hmm. is his problem. Yeah. It's not our problem. Yeah. Because let him deal with it. He finds it necessary, right? Then let him and his reasons stay to himself. Yeah. And I'm just want to focus on the part where it goes away forever. I don't. If I believe that if people are living in a situation where that aspect of reality just disappears forever, I think that's good enough. No one wants to revisit that crazy shit. Yeah. Okay, and that's it, and just move forward. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I'm thinking clearly or thinking right on it. But
so, how does this relate to? How can we get into now? The cradle,
let's talk about aesthetics.
Well, the Cradle of Love. What's his name? Billy Idol's The Cradle of Love.
Billy Idol. Okay, so let's talk about some of the things.
Preliminary things.
No, I like my word. I like my word better. It's easier to say. The pre-stuff. Okay. All right. So basically, let's talk about. We touched upon aesthetics. This is a question. I don't have a lot of information, but I'd like to at least, articulate these thoughts, because this is one of those things that you don't have the balls to really talk to anybody about when you're in yeshiva, because you kind of get the sense that it's not going to get a warm reception.
Nope, not at all.
Okay, so because they don't have the answers, that's why.
Yeah.
So, or they do, they just don't want to. Yeah. Some of them do. Yeah. But so we have. You see a beautiful person. What is a beautiful person? Physically speaking, I mean, right? Yeah. There's a certain, there's the golden ratio, right? The golden section, the Fibonacci sequence, phi, right? If you notice that, there's a pattern, art, beautiful architecture, beautiful paintings. There's a certain balance, a certain symmetry, and it's very often within the framework of the Fibonacci, or the golden ratio, or the golden section. There's a lot of synonyms for this idea. Okay, and it's kind of hard to explain. You have to see it graphically. It's a framework that beauty fits into. Yeah.
Well, there's a nautilus. There's that the sea creature.
Yeah. Anything's kind of everything spirally, and there's it's actually a very, very fascinating topic. It's all over the Torah, by the way.
Of course.
Numerically encoded, a lot in a lot of places. That might be a good topic on its own. But basically, so it seems like some people are allowed to look like that, and some people aren't. Right? And it's just really fucking painful. Excuse me. Let me try my new.
Really Fargan painful.
Fargan. I'm gonna try to curse like Roman Moroni curses from Johnny Dangerously, because
Fargan
right. But the cursing thing, by the way, is, what I think it is? It's not me trying to be foul or trying to be edgy or whatever, or trying to shock people. Yeah. That is just it is a genuine emotion carrier.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, and it doesn't, and everything else seems lame compared to these words, which I grew up with, and this is how people would communicate in a sincere fashion.
Yep.
So, and when you try to not use it, or you try to replace it with other words, it's lame.
It is lame, yeah. I agree.
Okay, I'm not saying that cursing is good, and it's unfortunate. Yeah. Perhaps if I had grown up, or if I had experienced different, more refined carriers of emotion.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, does that mean that the people who don't do that, or the people that grew up in Orthodox families or whatever it is, or even people who didn't, have developed different carriers of emotion, or different, I mean, they don't even have those, meaning, or they do have those emotions, but they channel them completely differently, to the point where they don't need to go F or S, HIT.
Yeah, I think both are true, where perhaps either they have other carriers of emotions, but also at the same time, perhaps those emotions are not encouraged to be expressed in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you got to hold it all in. You got to control yourself. Hold it. But the problem is that when you start learning Torah, and you start, learning that you have to have all these emotions and channel them, and especially when when you're davening, right?
Yeah.
Or dveikus, or when you're doing these meditations, right? What's the secret ingredient to get it going? Emotions.
It's emotion.
Yeah. Genuine emotions. Passion.
Yeah.
What passion do these people have?
Honestly,
none.
I don't know.
Okay? If they have passion, then it's despite how they're being raised or taught. Okay, they're not given, not that I'm aware of, vessels for channeling passion. Yeah. Right? And that's probably one of the things that guys from outside Orthodox community, they don't know where they're used to expressing themselves. Being emotional, having the tools to express those emotions, which, by the way, touches upon the Japanese concept of zanshin, which, by the way, is connected to the idea of kavana.
It's nothing to do with the Japanese president from yesterday, right?
It's a lot to do with him.
No.
That's very, very emotional, isn't it?
I don't want it. The
word no is an excellent carrier of emotion and passion.
Or as Consuela would say in Family Guy.
No.
Mr. Griffin, no.
No.
So, Windex,
no. I don't bring my own Windex. No. So basically, that's a huge problem, and it feels, when I'm not doing it or I'm trying to replace the words, it feels lame, right? Like, for instance, even trying to use Yiddish expressions that I didn't grow up using, like "oi gewalt," "zach and vase," or I think I've heard my father say "ich weiß."
No, my parents said "zach and vase." They said that all the time. "Zach and vase."
I've heard "ich weiß." That I might say that every now and then, but the vessels of my emotions are Russian and English.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So by not allowing me to use them, I don't know how to be.
Yeah.
Okay. And by saying don't use them, replace them with other things, it's lame.
Yeah.
It's not real.
Yeah.
And then by saying, oh, don't do it at all, then that's like saying hold your breath for a long time.
Yeah. Be a robot. We are no robots.
I'm going to see Kraftwerk. On December 12th. I'm going to see Kraftwerk in Hanover.
Wait, where?
No, I'm just pretending to. I'm trying to craft a German character.
I would like to make it up to Miami for Art Basel.
Art Basel.
Is that something that you're interested in?
I'm only interested in. The only interest I would have to go to see Art Basel would be to ogle the women in South Beach. Okay.
What about that? I'm talking about the music. I mean, that's the music, man.
Yeah, I can listen to music online. It's fine. I would only go there.
I can't do anything with these women anyway. I mean, I can. I'm not going to.
Look, let's be real. Okay, 30% of the reason for leaving the house is to see beautiful chicks. That's real.
Yeah, but you're a married man.
Let's be real. I'm not saying it's good. But it is what it is. It's real.
You're birthing my bubble because the Winter Music Conference has horrible music these days, and they've shifted all the good stuff to Art Basel. So if I'm going to go, I don't really give a damn about this art. I don't care about a banana on the wall with duct tape. I don't care about that.
Tampon in a teacup.
Yeah, I don't care about some idiot paying $200,000 for something that can be eaten.
Here's my point. Listen. I'm going to interrupt you. What I'm trying to say is, I'm trying to be honest and conscious about what my motivations are, and then make the right decision based on the truth.
Yeah.
Okay, so the right decision would be not to go because I know why I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I going to even pretend like it's something else? You know what I mean?
Well, because the music is pretty dope.
But that's not the place. That's not the only place in the world where you can hear music, right?
But you don't need to. Well, you're talking about sound systems and
Right. I think we all see what's happening here.
You know the experience. You know what I'm talking about.
I understand what you're talking about, all right? So, but okay, fine. You appreciate a good sound system, but come on, let's boil it down even further. Come on, man. Come on. This podcast is about being real, actual, unsterilized.
Yeah, and I'm telling you,
all right. Yeah. So it's a process. We're getting you in this particular issue. We're getting you to realize the truth. It's gonna come up. You're gonna land on it. You're gonna be like, you're gonna wake up in the morning like, holy shit, that's right. Literally, the only reason I'm going there is to look at these broads, and that's not. And as tempting as it is, it's not right.
I'm already as you're yammering about things that don't mean anything. I'm already on Resident Advisor looking at the Miami events calendar.
Well, listen, I look. We can only say the truth. Decisions are made internally.
Yes.
Right. So I understand. Listen. On the one hand, I'm not being overly critical of you because look how strong God made this situation.
Yeah.
it's it's a burden.
Yeah.
Okay? So we know it is. Yeah. But all right, so just let's get back. Let's try to
Nina Kravitz is playing on Shabbos. So
Nina Kravitz.
You know this chick.
I do.
I mean, personally, but she's a Russian. I mean, her father's got to be Jewish. She's a pretty decent DJ, I would say.
Oh, she's a decent. No, I don't.
She happens to be, what do you call that? What's the word we use?
Oh, she's a smokestack.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna add to that now. Smokestack lightning, heavy metal thunder, racing with the wind.
Here you go. Art with Me Festival. Lee Burridge. There you go. November 28th.
I remember Lee Burridge.
Roger Sanchez and...
I remember Roger Sanchez.
That's November 27th. November 28th. Let's see. What is this Art with Me Festival? Here you go. Oh, this is a whole thing. So you pay like 3 days general admission. You get Beruz, Lee Burridge. That's actually pretty much it. Oceanus Orientalis. I heard this guy. It's just a name I know. That's it. That's all you get.
If you could tell me,
I'll live.
Like I don't know, maybe like Richie Houghton, King Brick, Bookham, Fabio and Groove Rider, people, that would get me. I'd probably like, what I'd do?
Yeah. Ooh, Nick Warren. Oh my goodness, December 2nd.
Nick Warren. Yeah. That's kind of tempting. But you know what I'd do? You know what the Rebbeim used to do?
Yeah.
Back in the day. So there were Rebbeim that actually, they recognized the beauty of Gregorian chant. I'm serious. And they would go, and you know who told me this? Rabbi David Fink.
This is like, but it's could be like Avodah Zarah, no?
Listen. It's not Avodah Zarah. The only place to go to hear it would be in the church, right? They would, in certain places, find a way to listen to it without going into the church. You understand? I wish I could remember the specific context of what he was talking about, but this was in my note. Rabbi David Fink, probably the world expert in halacha. I would argue.
Yeah.
I really would. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
I heard the name.
He's a Jerusalem. He's one of the guys. He's a real rabbi. He's one of the real rabbis that I've met. And he would come over. He would come to my note on Thursdays, and he would answer any halachic question that anybody would throw at him. Okay, he was like the expert. Okay, and this guy is just full of the most amazing information. And he brought this up. He was like, because people are asking about music. They're like, well, can I listen to, what kind of music can I listen to? This and that. And he was showing examples of what people did before in the past that would surprise you.
Yeah. Right?
Like rabbis enjoying, being able to appreciate music, even if it's not Jewish and this and that. Like people, even the history of our rabbis is sterilized because they don't think that, the Yeshiva Baruch could handle it. Like you're not going to hear that at yeshiva, at a masifta. Yeah. They're not getting that information. They're not getting. Nobody in masifta is being taught that the Ramchal wrote plays and wrote poetry and was interested in science and all. That he was a Renaissance man. That's not going to go over well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot. So if we can listen to Richie Houghton, Nick Warren, right, from a distance somewhere to appreciate it, then that would be. But going in there, right, going into the belly of the beast, would be like for the rabbis going into the church. Let's be real.
Yeah.
All right, so like you could listen to just go buy Nick Warren. Go on YouTube and listen to Nick Warren Global Underground. All right, you'll be fine.
Can I read to you the description of this event? I'm not saying you have to go. I'm going to read the description. First of all, I just looked up the venue. It's called Jungle Island. It looks like something out of Avatar. Those like lit up mushroom situations. Those tall, or they look like not mushrooms. They look like the jellyfish, like lit up jellyfish. Okay.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
Here you
about.
go. On Thursday, December 2nd, world-renowned record label and events brand The Soundgarden, curated by Nick Warren, will be taking over Jungle Island in one of the most breathtaking, unique, and mystical locations in Miami. The creators of blah blah blah. Okay, come and experience the Wauki, Wawki, an Incan word that means brotherhood, connection, and a community of people linked by a common interest, where you will find opening ceremonies, ancient initiations, markets, art installations, and performances, all to create an unforgettable experience.
So Wauki means friendship in Incan.
Yeah.
So and solo means starship pilot. Is that correct in Incan?
Not sure. No clue.
No? Okay. We'll look that up later. Yeah. All right.
So as of now, you get that for $73.
$73. What a number. There's no segue out of this.
$73.10. Anyway.
All right. You know what? It's time to we're just gonna have to.
Okay. So how does this relate to? Let's get right into Mr. What's his name?
We're gonna go straight to
Idol and the Cradle of Love.
Okay. So in order to get anywhere near Billy Idol, we got to talk about Asaph.
Okay.
Okay.
We have roughly 45 minutes to do that.
Damn. Do you know how much time we wasted being bummers and then talking about garbage?
Well, it's not garbage, but
you know what I'm saying. Come on, buddy. Yeah. Come on, buddy. Mm-hmm. It ain't no secret around here that garbage and us is very fond of one another.
It's like what is it? Somebody posted, Big Bird and what's his face, Elmo, that little devil without horns. They took the what, and I said that Oscar the Grouch is way ahead of the game. He's probably the one that's the anti guy, and so I guess we can relate to Oscar.
Get a job, Grouch.
Because we live in.
Get it together, Grouch. All right, so here, look. Would it be okay if I were to read Rabbi Ozer Alport's essay titled "Why Did Yaakov Bow"?
Please do that. Please do it.
A little background. Mm-hmm. So we're going to Bereshit, Genesis chapter 33. Mm-hmm. Okay, and this is okay, and the parsha is Vayishlach. Is that correct? Yeah, it is Vayishlach.
No,
okay.
Wait. So this week's parsha?
No, I mean the parsha where this
particular. Okay.
Where this story is occurring is in Vayishlach. So Parashat Vayishlach. Okay. Yeah. So
You're a little muffled, by the way.
Oops. How about now? Better?
A little bit better.
How about now?
Better.
Vayaratz Esav Likrato Vayechavkehu Vayipol al Tzavarav Vayishkahehu. 1 second. I'm having some trouble seeing. Vayivku. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so basically what's going on here? Yaakov is preparing to meet Asaph for the first time in 34 years. And I think people are probably familiar with how they parted ways, okay, and what Yaakov's been doing for that whole time. So Yaakov assumed that Esaph's feelings of anger for quote unquote stealing Yitzchak's blessings from him were still unabated, as evidenced by the fact that he was approaching him with a daunting army of 400 men, which, by the way, that wasn't just 400 men; those were 400 captains. Each captain had, I believe, 60 men with him. So he was coming with a very, very, very large amount of warriors. Now Yaakov prepared for this fateful reunion by sending his brother a lavish gift of many animals in the attempt to placate Esaph's anger. So just prior to the climactic encounter, when it was that Yaakov saw Esav approaching with his 400 men, Yaakov bowed down on the ground toward Esav 7 times. Okay? Mm-hmm. So seeing this, Esav ran toward Yaakov and hugged him and kissed him. So when Rashi was commenting on this, he quotes the opinion of Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, who maintains that although Esav's hatred of Yaakov was a constant and intrinsic part of him, in this situation, those were genuine feelings of compassion that welled up within Esav, and he kissed Yaakov with a full heart. So what was unique about this interaction between them? And how was Yaakov able to overcome Esav's innate feelings of enmity toward him? Okay, so the Gemara in Kiddushin, page 29 on the B side, records that there was a spiritual demon residing in the study hall of Abiah, and it harmed anybody who tried to enter. When Abiah heard that Rav Acha Bar Yaakov was coming to study in his yeshiva, he issued instructions that nobody should provide Rav Acha with a place to sleep. This would leave him with no choice but to sleep in the study hall, where he would hopefully have to face the demon and destroy it in the merit of his Torah study and his awesome piety that he was famous for. As Abiah hoped, Rav Acha found himself with nowhere to sleep, and he entered the study hall, at which point the demon appeared to him in the form of a seven-headed serpent. Rav Acha began to pray to Hashem, and each time he bowed down and prostrated himself to Hashem. Each time he did that, one of the serpent's heads fell off. After 7 bows, the serpent was destroyed. So what was this demon, and what way did Rav Acha defeat it by bowing down and prostrating himself? Just on a side note, this is obviously an Agadata, an Agadic story which is told in the Midrashic fable-like fashion, which is completely coded with crazy amounts of math and many other things. Okay. All right. So commenting on this Gemara, the Maharsha.
You got very quiet just now. Your feed.
It seems to happen when I pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. You can hear me good, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Commenting on this Gemara, the Maharsha writes that the serpent's 7 heads correspond to the 7 forces of Tuma that were introduced to the world by the serpent, the original serpent, when it enticed Chava to eat from the forbidden fruit by arguing that instead of adhering to Hashem's command not to eat from the forbidden tree, she should instead act according to her own desires. So that's when these 7 measures of Tuma were infused into the world and into human consciousness, basically. Okay. Tuma, by the way, it's hard to explain what that is, but it means some kind of spiritual uncleanliness, impurity, perhaps.
Ritual impurity, whatever that means.
Right.
I'll tell you that when I was, I think I mentioned this to you before, when I was driving or on a bus, let's say on Allenby Street in Tel Aviv, in that neighborhood, in that part of Tel Aviv, I felt that.
I know what you mean.
And there's a few other places, primarily in Tel Aviv. Also, even in Jerusalem, you could feel it somewhere. Not too many places.
For me, not really. Not in Jerusalem was like every time traveling up, taking the shirut or the bus up to Jerusalem was always a very.
Oh yeah.
I would it would be embarrassing because I would start crying, right? But not I'm not sobbing or
no.
No. I would start tears would be streaming down, so I'd have to put my head down. I don't know, and I can't explain why.
Yeah.
It was a very dramatic ascent.
Listen, by me, I live there. But I know people that physically, not that they're not spiritual people, but I know people who physically can't be in Jerusalem. It's too much for them. Not Tuma, obviously, but it's just too much for them. I know somebody who told me that they feel like they were somebody in a past life who saw destruction there. Like Tisha B'Av kind of style level stuff. That's why they can't even go there. Or they go there for a day and then they have to leave. I know people that had somebody had a nervous breakdown in Sfat. Now they're okay. Now they go there, it's all good. But the first time they ever went there, they had a nervous breakdown in Sfat. I've
never felt. I've felt really good.
I love Sfat.
In Sfat, I feel just really good being there.
Yeah, same.
I've never had an unpleasant moment in Sfat. It's something else going on over there.
I thought about there's this whole group of Americans in Sfat, and they're all kind of floating around, and they learn Hasidut and Kabbalah.
Yeah.
And I thought of just doing that for like 6 months. But then I was just kind of like, if I say to myself, yeah, I'm gonna do that just for 6 months, I'll probably just get stuck there, and you'll probably find me just 20 years later, like being the freaking town crazy guy. You know what I mean? I'll be like a cross between like a Mikubal and a crazy guy.
Yeah.
And I will dafka not care at all, just like the rest of the people there. But
get married first, then go to spa.
Yeah, exactly. But I won't care at all. I will end up not caring at all about money. It'll be like on overdrive compared to most people, by me, and that would be not good.
SWAT is very intoxicating.
I know.
Okay, so back to the essay.
Yeah.
As you recall, we were talking about the introduction of this impurity that the snake introduced to the world through the conversation with Chava.
Yeah.
Okay, so there were 7 measures of it. So commenting on this Gemara, if you recall, the rabbi who killed the 7-headed dragon, right?
Yeah.
Commenting on this Gemara, the Maharsha writes that the serpent's 7 heads correspond to the 7 forces of spiritual impurity that were introduced to the world by the original serpent when it enticed Chava to eat from the forbidden fruit by arguing that instead of adhering to Hashem's command not to eat from the fruit, she should instead act according to her own desires. Now, so the rectification of the serpent's heretical outlook is to completely subjugate oneself to Hashem, and the ultimate demonstration of this obedience is bowing down in acknowledgement of one's complete and total dedication to Hashem, which is precisely how Rav Acha Bar Yaakov was able to neutralize the demon's spiritual powers that emanated from the original serpent. Okay, so this manifestation of the 7-headed serpent was connected to elevating or to rectifying, at least to some extent, what happened at the Tree of Knowledge. It was connected to these 7 measures, these 7 different types of energies, which were all connected to spiritual impurity. Okay, so similarly, there's the Panim Yafos suggests that Yaakov's bowing was the key to his ability to diffuse Esav's wrath. So a lot of times people are going to hear like the Or Sameach or the Or the Balaturim or the Panim Yafos. So there are rabbis who have names, but they wrote books. So instead of referring to them by their proper names, people just say the name of the book that the rabbi wrote, because the book itself is more famous than the rabbi.
Instead of calling Tom Clancy, you just call him Clear and Present Danger.
Yeah, Patriot Games guy.
Mr. Patriot Games.
Mr. Patriot Games, right. So, yeah. So basically, we have, here's similarly the Panim Yafot, which means the beautiful faces, right?
Yeah.
Suggests that Yaakov's bowing, as recall, we started this talking about why did Yaakov bow to Esav 7 times, right? Yeah. So Yaakov bowing was the key to his ability to diffuse Esav's wrath toward him.
Mm-hmm.
He explains that Yitzhak possessed 8 measures of holiness, which is hinted to by the fact that the gematria of Yitzhak's name is 208. Mm-hmm. Let's prove it. Yitzhak. Yud, Tzadik, Het. Right? Is that how you spell Yitzhak? Can you look it up quickly?
Yeah.
This kind of stuff you always gotta check because you end up looking like
Yud, Tzadik, Hey, Het. It's the closed.
Yeah, the Het. Yeah.
Yud, Tzadik, Het. Cool. Yeah.
Okay, so Yud is 8, Tzadik is 90. I'm sorry, Yud is 10. What's wrong with me? Tzadik is 90. That's 100. Okay. Het is 8. 108.
Mm-hmm.
And Kuf is 100, so that's 208. Okay. So far, so good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And we know that 208 is 26 times 8. So we know that Yitzhak he possessed these 8 measures of holiness. Okay? And the gematria of his name is a hint to that. And each measure of holiness is represented as 26. 26 because 26 is the gematria of the primary name of God, Yud, He, Vav, He. In English, they call it, or in Greek, I guess, the tetragrammaton.
Yeah.
Okay. So, of those 8 measures of holiness, Yitzhak gave 7 to Yaakov, whose name is 182. And as we know, 182 is 7 times 26. Okay, so Yitzhak is 8 times 26, and Yaakov is 7 times 26. Okay, so he received 7 out of the 8 measures of holiness that Yitzhak had. So what happened to that? Where's the last one? So, it went to Esav. So Yitzhak's remaining measure of holiness was given to Esav, who also possessed the 7 forces of impurity that were introduced by the original serpent. Remember how we were saying that that Esav's Yetzer Hara was Samael himself, the Satan?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, Yitzhak's remaining measure of holiness was given to Esav, who also possessed the 7 forces of impurity that were introduced to the original serpent. So this is alluded to by the fact that the numerical value of Esav's name is 376. So Esav is spelled Ayin, Sin, Vav. Ayin is 70, Sin is 300, and Vav is 6. So that's 376. Which, hold on a second, let me just check something really quick. One second. Don't yell at me. I said don't yell at me.
I'm not yelling.
I can hear your thoughts. You're yelling. One second.
I'm on the phone.
Okay. Something, I was just checking to see if it was something that Rabbi Kessin said about their name, but we'll get to that another time. Okay, sorry guys. So the gematria of Esav's name, his numerical value is 376. And this is equal to 7 times 50. Okay? 7 times 50 is the numerical value of the word Tameh. You following?
Yeah.
So let me just double check that. Yeah. Okay. So okay. So 7 times 50, 350, is the numerical value of the word Tameh, this word which means impurity. Okay? Plus 26. Okay? So Esav's name, the numerical value again, is 376. And that's 350 plus 26, correct?
Yeah.
So 26 is that one measure of holiness that he got from his father. And the 350, the remaining 350, is the numerical value of impurity. Okay. So with this introduction, the Panim Yafot explains that when Yaakov saw Esav and he bowed down on the ground 7 times, he wasn't prostrating himself to Esav, but rather to Hashem, as he acknowledged his complete subservience and prayed for divine assistance to help him overpower Esav's impurity. This impurity, which kind of created a shell hiding that power of that one measure of purity that he got from his father Yitzhak. Right? It was like a cage for that one measure of purity. Okay. So basically, after Yaakov had prostrated himself 7 times, Esav's impurity was neutralized. And all that remained was one measure of holiness, which moved him to overcome his natural hatred of Yaakov and hug and kiss his brother with a full heart. Now, Rabbi Wolf actually got back to me. Okay?
Oh, wow.
And he was saying that one measure of purity, that one Yud He Vav He that Esav had inside of him, was the main one. That was the most powerful, the highest of all the measures of holiness. Okay? So, okay. Now, one second. Remember yesterday, we were kind of just like, we were talking about 13s a lot, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things about 13 is that it was related to the 13 attributes of mercy, right? Why? So why 13 and mercy? What's the connection between 13 and mercy?
I mean, it's a shame.
Well, what I think what we read was 12 represents the number of definitions, borders, restrictions, delineations, strict justice.
Yeah.
It represents the system that we're living in, okay, which is founded on definitions, borders. Like you can tell one thing from another because everything is contained within itself, right? Like, how do you notice a person walking down the street? You see a silhouette, right? That silhouette is a form. There's a limit to how far the person extends. He doesn't take up the entire panorama, right? He's a limited form. That's represented by 12. Okay, because you got the 12 tribes, the 12 constellations. There's a lot of 12s which are programmed into the system. Now, 13 represents something that transcends the system. Now, since the system is based on Gevura, something that transcends the system is not confined by Gevura, and it's represented by unbound mercy. Was that coherent?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's very interesting is that if we look at Esav, right, and we were just talking about this theme about liberating him from the Tumah, right?
Yeah.
So if we're looking at his name, Esav, it was 376. Was that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. What is the numerical value of Satan? So Satan is spelled Sin, Tet, Nun. So 309 and 50. 359. Let's see something. Hold on. 1 second. So 1 second. 376 minus 359. 376 minus 359. All right, let me get back to you on this.
Too much math.
No,
Can I tell you something? I'm not. Actually, I'm for everything you're doing in this sense. I have friends who say that gematria is cute. They call it a cute kiruv. That's what they say.
Your friends are cute in their own way.
Yeah.
Can I tell you what the real importance of gematria is?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I don't know if I spoke about it like on these recordings, or we talked about it just on a side note. The Star Trek episode. Did I talk about that at all? Like during these episodes?
We talked. I don't remember. I mean, it depends. Not sure.
Okay, so there was a Star Trek episode where Captain Picard and the Starship Enterprise were being sent to find out what's going on. There's chaos on a planet that was part of the Federation. Okay, and they were a simple agrarian planet, agrarian society. Okay, and they were, nothing was happening there. Everything was peaceful. It was actually a wonderful place. And all of a sudden, it went into chaos. So they went there to find out what's going on. Okay. So it turns out that according to their culture, their religion on this planet, the leader of their planet made a deal with the devil, whatever their version of the devil is, 1,000 years prior. And the deal was that the devil will provide 1,000 years of plenty and peace, right? Like a bountiful crops and no war or bloodshed for 1,000 years. But then when the 1,000 years is up, the devil comes to collect all the souls of everybody on the planet and destroy the planet with natural disasters, earthquakes, tidal waves, that kind of stuff. So as luck would have it, 1,000 years was up. And people knew about this prophecy. And then sightings of this devil started occurring all over the planet, and people were panicking. And this led to, factions and tribal warfare, and then also there were natural disasters that were occurring. There were earthquakes and volcano explosions and all kinds of stuff that was unheard of on that planet. So obviously the prophecy was happening, right? So obviously the Starship Enterprise, the crew, they were very skeptical, and they were always looking for a more rational reason for this, a more rational explanation. But through the course of the episode, you got the sense that they were almost convinced, because the devil started appearing to them, and they couldn't explain how it was happening. Like they were using sensors, they were trying to use all the technology to figure out how they were doing these tricks, and they were almost convinced until finally they found where this was coming from. Okay, there was a very, very powerful, very sophisticated, I think it was like a Romulan ship. It wasn't full of Romulans, but it was a Romulan ship. They're very sophisticated. And it was hiding somewhere. It was cloaked behind some meteor that was in the, not too far away from the planet. And it had very sophisticated technology that was able to beam images and also do things to the planet. It was just a very powerful technology. Okay? Unusually powerful. But they realized in the end there was just some technology, some tricks that they hadn't discovered yet. So that's what's cute. When you have people who base their faith on some kind of supernatural historical events, right? Or some kind of emotional experience, or some kind of vision that they're having, right? All of these things can be reproduced with sophisticated enough technology, right? Like from a very shallow reading of the experience they had at Mount Sinai, right? That could have been reproduced perhaps by sophisticated enough technology, right? Some starship somewhere, like in orbit, creating all this, all these effects, light show, whatever. Smokestacks. Yeah, I mean, that's what they're describing, right? Yeah. I mean, when you study the description in depth, you'll see that all of that is coded, and everything, every concept, every word is full of meaning, and it's not what it appears to be on the surface. But let's say you don't know any of that, just on the surface level, right? By the way, all of those, when you study the descriptions very carefully, the depth and all the meaning is mathematical. That's on a side note. Yeah. So, but just from a shallow reading from the surface, you realize that that could be like like our friend Alex Kravitz, right? Right? He thought, I don't know if he still thinks, maybe not, but there was a time which he thought, reasonably so, that all these things could have been done by sophisticated enough beings, some kind of aliens or whatever,
Listen, I mean, we spoke about the whole Bart Sadok thing where he says that I don't know where the source is, but that Rashi says that our font or our script is angelic.
It could have been originally written in angelic. So, but we talked about how that might be true, but it's also true that it was written in the Ketav that we have, and also the Ketav Ivri, what they call Paleo Hebrew. Yeah. But we need a separate episode just to untangle that.
Actually, yeah, we should do that.
Yeah, that's pretty important. Yeah. But so the point is that kind of stuff could be just tricks. You can have a talented or sophisticated enough magician or technology or blah blah blah. But the math doesn't lie. Yeah. Okay, so they're cute. Gematria isn't cute. Gematria is it's the, I'm not going to say it's the proof, but it's the proof. Yeah. Okay, it's the math, it's the formula, it's the equation that shows you And but you know who it's for? It's for people who even care about the truth.
Yeah.
If you're cultural, if you're emotional, and you're not into the truth on the deepest level available to you,
yeah.
then yeah, it's going to be cute, I suppose. But it's very sad. It's a very, very sad attitude.
Yeah. I know.
Math don't lie. God made it that way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is a matrix. It's mathematical. So, so getting back to right. So, all right. So let's just kind of, that whole thing where I was trying to I thought that I was onto something for a second, with the Satan thing, and then the removing of the 26 from it. But I think perhaps not. Okay. Hang on 1 second. Now I have to get back that page. 1 second. All right. So what was that story about? Okay, what was that? What was Yaakov trying to do for Esav? He was trying to extract that measure of holiness that was surrounded by all of the powers of impurity, the Sitra Achra itself. He was trying to free that Yud Hey Vav Hey, that 26, from the klippah that it was surrounded by.
I mean, he gave that up, and so he's trying to get it back.
You're talking about Yaakov, right? That it was part of Yaakov.
Esav. I mean, you're talking about Esav. Was trying to get.
No, Yaakov was working on Esav to free Esav.
Yeah. You're saying he was trying to give Esav back what Esav sold. Sort of.
No, it wasn't that. He was trying to. He wasn't doing that. Yaakov needed those tools that Esav sold to him, right? The birthright and the blessing. He needed that to do that work on Esav, which Esav was not able to do on himself. Esav was locked up. Esav represents that 26, that one measure of 26 that he got from his father. And each measure of 26 is not equal.
Yeah.
Each one is different. Each one represents something else. And the one that Esav got was the highest and the most powerful of them all. Okay? And it was the hardest to extract it because it was obviously the most valuable, so it's going to be the most guarded by the powers of evil. Okay? So that's what he was trying to do. So what is that? Where is that measure of 26 from Esav? That's from Olam HaTohu. Okay, that's where Esav's origin is.
The world of chaos.
Even the world, right, the Olam HaTohu, the world of chaos. Even though it's described as the world of chaos, it's considered the highest of all the spiritual levels, which is strange, right? But here's why. What makes it chaotic? It's about light traveling through vessels. So the light, the energy that God was sending through those spherot, which are vessels, right? You could think of it as like voltage and wires. The spherot are the wires, and the light that's being sent through them, that's the electricity. So if you notice, when the power station is transmitting electricity, first, they're producing a very, very, very high voltage, right? Yeah. And then it needs to be sent out of the where it's being produced, okay, the electric plant, and on these very, very thick wires, right? Like, kind of like 10 inches in diameter, They can handle that voltage. There's enough copper there to be a conductor for that level of, for that power. And then it gets sent through these like high power, these cables, these power lines, right? These thick cables, thick wires. And then as the electricity gets closer to the place that it's being sent to, right? Like it has to be usable. It's still unusable at that stage. It's too intense. No one could make use of it at that level. So it gets sent to a city, let's say, right? And then they have to start lowering the intensity of the voltage. So they have these things called transformers. Okay? So transformer is a device which takes the voltage from the high power and can reduce it.
Not to be confused with the robots in disguise.
Not to be confused with robots in disguise. Okay, but there is more than meets the eye.
That's true.
Okay, so you have these transformers. They're called step down transformers. They reduce the intensity of the voltage. They lower the voltage, and there's a series of these steps, these transformers, until finally you get the cable that goes into your house and gives you the usable voltage where you can plug in your lamp or whatever appliance that you're using. Okay, so that what we just described is the world of Tikkun. Okay, that we are trying to build, actually, the rectified world. Now, the world of Tohu is voltage that's so powerful, but it's being sent through wires that can't handle it. Okay, it's just mass, but that voltage represents godly light.
Yeah.
Okay, light is a metaphor which is used. It's a term which is used all the time in the Torah for representing the passionate energy, the flow of energy from God to His creation. Okay, so the light that passed through Olam HaTohu, the world of chaos, was so intense, so pure, so high that it's infinitely higher than any light that passed through any part of the world of Tikkun, the world of rectification. You know how we talk about four worlds? Asiya, that's where we're at. Then Yetzirah above us, and then Beria, and then Atzilut. You've heard of people talk about Atzilut, right?
Yeah.
The godly realm, the realm of pure God consciousness.
Yeah.
That world cannot handle the light of Tohu. Not even close. The light of Tohu is infinitely more intense and more pure and more holy and more passionate and more concentrated than the light that they experience in Atzilut. Are you kidding me? Infinitely higher than Atzilut? What are we talking about here? Okay, that's where Asaph is from. He's from Tohu. And so is Lavan, by the way.
Tohu that existed before the formation of what we now know as
Genesis universe, right? Pre-Genesis universe.
That was brighter than anything we can even.
Anything that can be experienced without absolute annihilation.
Right.
Intense, and that's the level that God wants to. That's the relationship that God wants to have with us. That intensity. But He can't send that light into our world until we finish. Until the world is finished. Like it has to be created a very stable, a very special configuration of sphirot, of conductors for this light. Okay? The design, the engineering of the vessels of our world have to be such that they can properly channel that infinite intensity. Okay? So when you're talking about the shattering of the vessels, that's what it means. The Shvirat HaKelim. Okay, the Kalim were not able to grasp the intensity. So we're talking about these vague things and we're using metaphors, but how can we personally relate to something like the shattering of the vessels? So the part of it that we are supposed to relate to, and it's really a metaphor, is for us to understand how to experience godly light without shattering our minds. Yeah. The primary vessel, is the mind. Okay, and that's what experiences light. Light is godly information about God. Okay, so certain information is so intense that a person could have a meltdown. Yeah. A shattered mind is the shattering of the vessels.
We've seen that. Speaking of our conversation in the top of the program,
and we've all experienced it.
Yeah.
For instance, I'll give you the first time I told you about the Fisher King.
Yes.
The movie would, so I saw that. So there was a scene in that movie that definitely caused a major shattering. I wouldn't want to bring it up. I don't even want people to go look it up because it's like people tend to be curious.
It's the same thing as the what's it called? The What Dreams May Come kind of thing. Or that's more.
That's just melancholy.
That's just
yeah, that's something else. I'm just talking about. There was a scene of very extreme and extremely horrible violence in that movie, the Fish King. Just too much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still too much for me. But as I saw it, I think when I was 7 or 6.
Yeah.
So and then the other time is when they killed Piggy.
Hmm.
Do you remember that?
No. Where was it?
In Lord of the Flies.
Oh, I think it's about oh my god.
Lord of the Flies.
I mean, I didn't see the movie. I read the book. Yeah.
So, all right, even when you read the description, but when I saw it, actually the first time I saw it was in the movie.
Yeah.
And there was actually a couple of movies made, but I'm talking about the one in the 90s.
Yeah.
Okay? Where, you didn't really expect that to happen. I wasn't familiar with the story because I saw it when I was maybe 9 or 7 or 8. I can't remember. Somewhere there. Right? They drop a rock on it and kill a child.
Yeah. It's crazy.
They crush his head. They showed it in the movie.
Yeah.
Right? So that's information that's too intense.
Yeah.
So that's not exactly a perfect metaphor for what we're describing here.
Yeah.
But you know what a better metaphor would be? When I was in Curacao, okay, I believe either 6 or 8. I can't recall.
Antigua or Curacao? Oh, you're talking about vacation.
Curacao. This is like a family vacation.
Yeah. I did one of those when I was 10 also, like Martinique, all this Antigua, that kind of stuff. It was a cruise.
Yeah. How old were you?
I was like 10, 11, something like that. It was great.
Okay, so when I was, I did love it, but I had a shattering experience there when I saw a fully grown woman nude on the beach as I was walking into the water. It was a beautiful, a beautiful, fully adult naked woman just walking out of the water as I was trying to go for a swim in my little, I couldn't swim yet, so I had those floaties. I was literally shocked. I was taken. I'd never seen that before. I was not prepared for that, and I don't think I took it well. I didn't know how to handle it. I was staring, and then she was looking at me. She's probably from from Germany or from some country where what's the big deal? I'm naked. People have their culture's like that, but I wasn't from that culture. So that shattered my vessel. It did. Some stuff is too. So that's not. A naked woman is a positive thing. Yeah. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. Yeah. But in the right context.
Oops. All right. You can start. You can keep going.
Yeah. So I was just saying that I don't think anybody would disagree that a naked woman is a positive thing. Yeah. We all know it's positive. Of course, it's positive, right? It's the most positive thing that can be. In the right context.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Oh, one's on the phone. All right, we gotta get off the video aspect of this. We can continue with the audio though.
What video aspect?
No, I was on Facebook Live.
Oh, okay. All right, that's cool.
Yeah, we'll continue with the audio.
All right. So basically, the last thing people heard me say was,
"Yes,
naked woman, awesome. That's great."
It's okay. It'll be posted on YouTube. It's fine.
That's gonna be great. Okay, so right. So basically, in the right context, right? Naked, beautiful naked woman in the right context, best thing that could be. Okay. But when you take that light and put it in the wrong vessel, right? And in that case, the vessel would be my little mind.
Yeah.
At the age of 6 or 8, whatever. Yeah. And also in public. Yeah. So the setting and my mind were the vessel, and it was too that light was too intense for both of those vessels, shattering both of them. Yeah. So that would be would be a much better and much more accurate metaphor.
That happened to me when I was 16. Not to me, but just that similar thing when I was 16 in Saint Martin on the French side. But I was 16, not 6. So when you're 16, you can kind of handle it, but you can kind of handle it, but at the same time, it's like, actually, you know, the sad part is that most of the people, my friend and I were walking down up the beach, and we noticed, we realized, like, there was nothing to look at. It was all these old men, these old French men, and like the women were also just like, it was just awful. It looked like
it was less Playboy, more National Geographic. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it was not hedonism. It wasn't play. We were like, this is terrible. Let's just turn around and go back to the clothed.
So that's a completely different type of.
It was actually comedically traumatic, or traumatically comedic.
I mean, that's like no light. That's the opposite of what I'm saying. Like that.
Yes, it was total, like, I don't even know.
That's like Vessels with no light.
Yeah, it was just like Oscar the Grouch's home. That's what it was. It was just like,
get it together, Grouch. God.
Oh.
Yeah, man. So.
Well, at least the highlight of that trip was the what was it? The jet skiing.
Yeah, jet skiing is fun. It's fun. I remember jet skiing. So how does this? So now I think what we've done is we've set the stage, right, for at least beginning the discussion of what tohu is, at least as we can, whatever part of it that we can discuss. Because it's infinite intensity of godly light, that's not such an easy topic to talk about, but so we can kind of take some of the concepts and probably apply it to things that we've experienced, things that we love, and things that we're told is not good, or it's not healthy, or it's bad in the wrong context. Okay, which is the only context that we've seen it in.
Yeah.
That's the only context we can imagine it in.
Yeah.
I think you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Of course.
All right. So I think that right there, what we just said, is what that's the main struggle of like probably everybody's life, but especially like, young dudes who are trying to like, do right by God, and while wrestling whatever situation God put us in.
Yeah. Verstehe.
Okay, so what are we wrestling with? What are these things we're wrestling with? That's the light of tohu and shattered vessels. Why do you think it's so intense? Why do you think you want to go to Art Basel? All right,
that's what's up. But
it's not for the music. It's for that light.
But again, it's not. I don't know. I think you're I see why you're doing it, but you're misattributing it. I really just want to hear the music. But even then, you're saying that's tohu.
Well, I'm doubting whether or not that is fully honest.
Mamish is fully honest. I'm telling you. I'm really telling you.
You know why I'm doubting? Because I'm transferring. Because I would doubt myself.
You're projecting. Yeah, you're projecting a little bit. What I'm saying is, the last time I heard Nick Warren, and I heard him with him, it was him and Hernan Catano. It was there, Miami, in 2009. So I'm telling you, you don't understand. Like, I'm a dork, man.
I know that.
I'm just a dork. And anything that would transpire would just be a byproduct of me being there. It would not be the point. It would never was the point. Really.
I feel that because I remember going to clubs, and I don't remember really thinking that anything was going to come of it.
Yeah.
From that respect.
Yeah. And I don't even, in this case, I don't want it to, because I'm at this point I can't do anything with these women, because they're all, I mean, unless some of them one of them happens to be Jewish by quote unquote accident, by happenstance or kachatratis, but other than that, you know, it's totally off limits to me. So
I don't know, something in my intuition. I'm not making any specific, like, before I was doing a little bit of a shtick, you know. I was kind of just.
I know you were.
I was just messing with you.
Especially when you were like, "Oh, начинается." It's cracking up with that.
Yeah, but basically, yeah, right. But now I'm actually giving you, like, I'm not really giving you anything, but I'm giving you, like, I have an intuition.
Yeah, I feel you.
And it's not a specific one, but the intuition tells me it's not a good idea.
I hear. No, you're right. You know why it's not a good idea? Nothing to do with the women. It has to do with just the environment and these places. You're talking about Tuma. This is it.
Yeah, because, like,
you'll find it there.
It's not even anything specific. You know what I mean? Like, and the thing that I'm about to say, I have not achieved.
Yeah.
I had, like, little glimmers or moments kind of spread out widely, but the point, like, you know, what are we really doing here, right? We're trying to come to some sort of truth, and we're trying to find out what's the point of this. You understand? What is the point of being here, doing this? Why are we here? What are we supposed to be doing? How do we go about doing it? Yeah. And so I think we conversation, like yesterday or the day before, we're saying that, like, you're supposed to, the ideal is, or the reason why God sent you is to hang out with you here in this world. Yeah. And basically you're here to hang out with God. Like, you got to know that he's here with you. Yeah. Like, at every point, and not just kind of hovering around talking on the cell phone. Yeah. Fully present. Way more present than you are.
Yeah, of course.
Right? He's the one that's like, can you please get off your cell phone, and can you please, like, pay attention to me? Yeah. Right? Sounds like a wife. Yeah. You know?
Well, it's Christina, so it's the, you know, feminine aspect.
I think it was Louis C.K. who said, like, you know, God's kind of like a needy girlfriend.
He is. Yeah, if you're Jewish, he mamashes.
No, but Louis C.K. is not Jewish, and he's
I know, but I'm just saying, if you know, it's a fact. It's a fact. Right. Depending on the time of day, depending on the time of year, you know, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, it's like, you know.
So right, so no, but that was kind of messed up, right? But whatever. Yeah. I mean, that's it is. It is what it is, right? You know, listen, we didn't create this situation, right?
In the words of Billy Joel, we didn't start the fire.
We didn't start.
It was always burning since the world's been turning.
Yeah, and we didn't start the fire. We didn't start we didn't begin spinning it. Okay, we didn't do any of that. Yeah. We didn't start the fire. Yeah. Okay, so you know, if we notice some patterns, right, even if they're somewhat humorous, then you know, then God forgive us.
That's right.
Okay, so you know, but we're trying to engage God, right? That's what we're trying to do right now. Yeah. And so the question is, how does that apply to this Art Basel situation? If you were to engage God, right? Where does he want you to go? Say, God, do you want me to go to Art Basel? Right? You can ask God that question, and you'll get an answer.
Yeah, at this juncture, you know, it's funny. If it was 2009, 2010, actually, Hidavka would want me to go for a purpose, not for the chick. But if today, he doesn't want me to go.
Right. So I didn't. So I wasn't asking you to guess the answer. I was asking you to ask God in your own time.
Not because it's. I'll tell you why. No, he wouldn't want me to go. Not because it's all like preachers and whatever, but because there is no point for me to go anymore.
Well, I'm going to be controversial. I'm going to say, in your own time, you know, whenever you're davening, say, God, Ask him seriously.
That's not controversial. I've gotten those moments.
No, just say, God, do you want me to go to Art Basel?
Yeah.
And then wait for the answer. Meaning, like, the answer comes. It's probably different for everybody.
It comes
but for
in the
me,
form of simanim, usually.
Yeah, it comes. I noticed that it comes like within a couple of hours.
A couple of hours, very, very subtly in the form of simanim. If we're perceptive enough, most people are not, but I try to.
If you're looking for it, you got to be looking. You got to be looking for it.
It's like the Kotzker Rebbe said, "He is where you let him in. Hashem is where you let him in. So if you let him in, he'll arrive. He'll show up. You don't let him in. Sometimes he'll come in anyway, but most of the time he won't. If you don't let him in."
33 is one of the ways. Is a big way that. That's a vessel. For that, for me.
Interesting. Yeah, you told me about
that. Okay.
Yeah. So by the way, you know what's crazy? Sometimes it's the craziest thing. It's almost like I'll wake up in the morning. And I don't know if this is even by design. I'll open like some YouTube video, random one, or like a YouTube video will pop up like suggested, and it's 6 minutes and 13 seconds. Or it's 6 minutes and 12, or it's 6 minutes and 14. So if you subtract or add, it's one is Hashem, So it'll be like 6:12, 6:13, 6:14. And it's almost like Hashem is telling me, hey dude, stop watching, don't watch this YouTube video, just go daven.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly right.
I've had that so many times.
Right. When you realize, okay, you learn a language, right? You understand what the meaning of 613 is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, and you understand what the meaning of 26 is, and you understand what the meaning of 86 is, right? When you start, and there's and 314, right? Shaddai, right? So when you start to understand that there's nothing extra in the world at all, that everything is some kind of communication from God, right? But you have to learn the language. So when you start seeing it, that's not a practice run. Yeah. You understand? Like, that's not like there's nothing random. That was made for you to see.
Of course not.
Everything. Of course not. And yes, it is literally a message to you. Yeah. I don't think people take that seriously.
I know they don't.
Especially people who think gematria is cute.
Yeah.
The rabbis sure spend a lot of time on cute stuff, if that's the case.
Yeah, they did.
And God spent a lot of time putting a lot of cute stuff into the Torah. I'll tell you that. The whole Torah.
In the words of what's his name? Don Rickles. I'll tell you this.
It's not cute.
That's after the punchline. He's like,
yeah, I'll tell you this.
I'll tell you this.
You ever watch those old roasts that he did? Like Dean Martin, like Sinatra.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Right? So he would roast the shit out of Dean Martin.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. I mean, he got roasted too.
It's like roasting. It's like roasting him like a Chaz. He's roasting a Chaz.
I don't know, man. I think like in that context, Don Rickles was the chazziest of all the Chazes.
Oh, of course, he made himself into a Chaz on that moment.
He was the most feared Chaz of his time.
Yeah.
But basically, he said this to Dean Martin. He's like, and my esteemed colleague here, my friend Dean, a nice Italian boy from Youngstown, Ohio. Yeah. And then Dean Martin says, Steubenville. And he goes, why, that's better? And some other roast, he goes, oh, everybody, here's my friend Dean Martin. Let's make him feel at home. And he goes like this. What? Right? Because you get it, right? The Steubenville is like basically, union workers.
That sort of. There's nothing else going on. It's called Ain't Nothing Going On But the Rent.
Yeah.
It's like when Zoolander came back to visit his dad and brothers.
Right.
And he's trying to like work with them. Everyone's watching to see what you. And he's in the mines with them, and like the thing flies away out of his hand.
And they all have the same hair. That's
You're no son of mine. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Merman. I'm a merman. Water is the essence of wetness, and wetness is the essence of beauty.
Yeah. What was it? The Zoolander Institute for kids?
No, the Derek Zoolander for kids who can't read good or want to learn other stuff good. What is this? A center for ants? How are the children supposed to learn how to read if they can't even fit inside the building? I have a vision. And so do I. Now let me show you mine, Derek. It's Mugatu, the guy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know, see, like that movie was like they made a sequel and it was awful. It was awful.
Honestly, the only thing I liked about Zoolander, if I'm going to be honest, was Will Ferrell's character.
Oh my God, Mugatu, yeah. Dude, I saw so many people go. I wanted to go one year as Mugatu for back when I celebrated Halloween. I might just do it for Purim. And people would be like, "Who the heck are you?" I'm like,
no, but the reason why I like the character is not because I like the character, because it reminded me of another character that he played in Saturday Night Live.
Oh yeah, the guy who folded the fashion guy.
Yeah, Jeffries. You know, like the.
We're flying to Milan. Pack your bags.
Right. He goes. No, it's funny because Jimmy Fallon, right?
Yeah.
Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, he's cracking up.
He's one of the guys. He's always a staple, and they always have a guest.
Yeah.
One of the guest hosts who's working with him at the store. They had like Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah.
Gabriel Byrne, you know, they were like, he's like these metrosexual guys, right?
Yeah.
And then
him and the
then finally, like, and Will Ferrell came out. You know, he always comes in at the end of the episode, right, as the king of them, and he's so over the top that Jimmy starts cracking up.
Yeah.
Those are the best.
Come on, pack your bags. We're flying to Milan. And he opens up a tiny cell phone.
Yeah, the tiniest. That's when he cracks up.
You know what's funny? He that was the same thing. Zoolander had that same phone at the funeral of his model friend. He had the same tiny phone. Hello.
Yeah. Yo, by the way, they slightly. That's right. Wait, what scene was that in?
That was in the funeral. When they died. His friend died in the gasoline accident.
They had the little phone. They had the little phone there.
They had a little cell phone. He picked up a little cell phone. Yeah.
I'm gonna look for that clip. No, but by the way, that skit in general, I think, was greatly inspired by Sprockets. You know,
yes. It was just a continuation of Sprockets. I don't know.
Yeah, man.
Now the time for Sprockets when we dance.
Yeah, then we dance. But instead of Sprockets, can we?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that was also Kraftwerk. The song.
Kraftwerk. Let's go see Kraftwerk. I went to see Kraftwerk the other day. It was very crafty. It was very Wolfenstein.
Question: if Kraftwerk played in Art Basel, would you pay $100 to go see? I would.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm shaking my head right now. You can't see me right now, but I'm shaking my head.
I don't know if I was. I was not the hugest Kraftwerk fan.
Their live shows are off the krючок.
Я работник. What did it say? Я твой слуга.
Oh, they have a Russian thing. Yeah, they have a Russian thing.
We are the robots. Yeah, I know. That's pretty cool. I'd pay to see that. That'd be pretty cool.
Tour de France. The guy's like barely breathing.
Yeah. I guess because I went to see Miss Kitten a couple times, and she kind of has a little bit of that vibe.
Did they have it like Miss Kitten and the Hacker?
Miss Kitten and the Hacker.
That's what it was.
That if you want to talk about like deep dark trauma, that might be.
Yeah.
You know, like they had the song called "Rippin' Kitten."
Yeah.
And it's not about ripping a kitten. It's she's the ripping kitten. She's like she's a murderer. Like she goes.
Understand.
She goes like she's like, Daddy, I want to go and kill tonight. It's crazy.
It's a lot. Yeah, that's
so dark, man.
Yeah. Well, they're what's it called? What do they do with it? German.
She's French, I believe.
Okay.
The Hacker, I'm not sure. It's likely he's likely to be German. I think
French electronic. I think he's also. He's also French. Michelle Amato and Caroline Hervey.
He is.
That's Miss Kitten.
Well, hold on a second. Wait, that album, Written Kitten. I'm not sure if that was with the Hacker. That was with Golden Boy. She did an album with a guy named Golden Boy.
Written Kitten. Wait, discography. Let's do here. There was there an album called Rippin' Kitten? There was Where Is Kitten? Yeah, it's a single. Wait, yeah, it's a single. It's not an album.
No, Golden Boy and Miss Kitten, Rippin' Kitten lyrics.
Yeah, it's not. It's a single. It's not an album. It's a track on.
Yeah. Here's the lyrics. Mommy, can I go out and kill tonight? I feel like taking a life. This is the crap that people are listening to.
That's crazy. That was already 2002, man. That was 2001,
yeah, no, I know, and it's a really catchy song. Oh my God. It's really catchy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, man. Here, Neil Tennant of the Pet Shop Boys has paid tribute to the song as a favorite of his in multiple interviews. Interesting.
Of this, he likes the song "Rippin' Kitten."
Yeah. So weird. It was on the album Or. That was her first album. Collaborative album between Golden Boy and Miss Kitten.
Crazy.
Released in Austria, Germany, and Switzerland. Yeah.
No, I don't know. Some of her tracks are catchy. Like, I'm surprised she didn't get bigger. I mean, she was big for a little while.
Dude, she played I think they had her play in Cielo and all those places.
And you know what the connection is? We were just talking about well, actually, I didn't mention Frank Sinatra, but when we were talking about the roasts, that was Frank Sinatra was also kind of appeared there a lot. Yeah. And her big song was Frank Sinatra, right?
Yeah.
And then that song 1982.
Yeah.
Man, it's catchy. Anyway. Wow, 2000s.
Yeah.
The aughts.
The what?
The aughts, right? The old, the 2000s, the aughts, right?
What do you mean the aughts?
Aught is one way of saying
the before the teen years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
I think. Man, am I making that up too? Am I creating my own?
The tots and the aughts?
The tots, yeah, it's like the tots, where I created my own backstory and my own word. By the way, I've been doing that my whole life, and it has something to do with word recognition.
Yeah, same.
Like my wife is an audiologist.
Yeah.
And she taught me about this.
Yeah.
And it had something to do with poor word recognition and also growing up in a home where people speak Russian.
Yeah.
And then the culture around you is not Russian, and you're listening to American songs.
Yeah.
And you're not as capable of recognizing what you're hearing.
True.
Because it's not clear.
It's not clear that they mumble. It's a lot of British people singing.
Yeah, and you're just not familiar with the cadence.
It's a lot of these depressed, effeminate men mumbling. Yeah. Like Duran. Even though Duran was great, but sometimes you don't understand what the hell. It's like Eddie Murphy's like, I don't know what the hell Jay's talking about. Yeah, he's like, you know what Jay's talking about? I don't know, man. Just keep playing. Just keep playing. We get paid. Yeah. He's like, I don't know.
You're doing a good James Brown, by the way.
Yeah. I do.
Dude, James Brown is good, man.
Yeah.
His stuff, man. I can listen to that.
Yeah. No, he was.
I don't know. He's like, he has good songs, man. Like, what was that, Sex Machine?
Yeah. Dude, did you ever see the interview where he's high and he's just saying he's responding in the lyrics of his songs. So the woman's like, so Mr. Brown, how do you feel? There's a concert coming up and you're this and that. What about your affairs that you're having with whatever? He's like, I feel good. He's like, okay.
Like I knew you should.
Yeah, he's like, and he's asking him another question. He's like, well, get down.
Yeah, he's just
machine.
The man is the greatest genius in history. He taught us all how to communicate with women.
Yes, and how come out on his front lawn and threaten people with a shotgun.
Is that what he did?
Or something like that. I don't know. He did something crazy.
Come on, James.
Anyway,
come on, bro.
Anyway, yeah, here. James Brown arrests in 1988. Oh, that was a high-speed police chase. Yeah, he had a whatever. I don't know what he did. Some stuff. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, hey, before we wrap it up.
Yeah.
Do we have time for another unification?
What does that mean?
Remember that photograph I sent you on? I sent you a photo of this little chart.
We're already been going for 2.5 hours.
We have been going for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll save the unification.
Yeah.
For next time.
For 15.
For 15, yeah. All right. You'd hate.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, man.
Nice.
That's one of the names. That's why even like Yud Hey just by itself is one of the names of God. So.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Okay, man. I go back to Jamrock.
I know black. I know black. All right, sir. It's been real.
All right, brother.
Real deal Holyfield.
Yeah, yo, we gotta cool it with the darkness.
Oh yeah, no, that was
darkness
is spreading. Yeah, but that was an important discussion, I think, because it relates to. It relates to because if we're talking about Asaph, then we're talking about Amalek, then we're talking about Sofek, then we're talking about everything we're going through right now, and we have to be aware. We have to be conscious.
Yeah, but we did set the stage for discussing the video, the greatest 80s video of all time, even though it was made in 1990. But that's not the point.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we can get to it. Actually, finally get to it.
Yeah, we can. We will.
All right, folks. So we're gonna decipher. We're gonna elevate the sparks within Cradle of Love, Billy Idol.
Yeah.
Okay. We have all the elements there. We got the olive skin newcomer.
Mm-hmm.
We got the Chaz, and we have a whole bunch of other stuff too. So stay tuned.
Yeah. All right.
All right, man.
Fantastic. If I don't talk to you, good Shabbos.
Later.